Let's play e4. I'll play knight to f3. I was in the UAE a few times for various chess events. Went there for the World Championship match in 2021, I believe. Whenever Magnus played Nepo. Also played in Abu Dhabi about a year ago. So, okay, we'll play the same opening, Italian, bishop c4. Ooh, f5. So this is called the Rousseau Gambit. And it's not an opening I've looked so much into. It's very similar to the Schliemann Gambit, which is when white has a bishop on b5. That's a variation within the Roy Lopez. Yeah, so I guess I should explain that the point is if I take on f5, then black can expand with combination of d5 and or e4, and yeah, black gets a lot of initiative. So I definitely don't want to take the pawn. As far as I know, the best move here is to play pawn d4 to counter strike in the center. And now the idea is, okay, I can recapture on e5. So we're basically trading pawns. And because black has moved the f pawn, then the king is a bit more exposed. Although it's hard to exploit. Like a move like queen h5 runs into g6. I don't think that really achieves anything. Meanwhile, yeah, my pawn's attacked. I was briefly looking at takes, and then queen h5 hitting h7, but after g6 that defends h7, so I don't think I want to trade off my developed bishop for the undeveloped knight. I mean, the obvious move is bishop to f4, defending the pawn and developing. This would run into queen b4, and let's say knight d2 defending the bishop, I lose a pawn. I'm going to go for this line. And we're sticking with the theme so far of today's games is I'm prioritizing piece development and early activity over material. It was not my intention to basically try and sacrifice every game early in the opening, but just kind of stumbling into such positions. But d5 is kind of surprising because the pawn's not defended. Maybe my opponent's trying to develop the bishop, but I don't think I mind taking the pawn. There's two ways to take the pawn. I could take with bishop or take en passant. I think I just want to take with bishop. I always have to ask if black has any like strong tactics in response, but I don't really see any way to exploit the bishop on d5. A move like e3 would attack my bishop on f4, but then I can just take with bishop or pawn. And now, I mean, black giving me some gifts. e4 is not defended. And even though my knight's pinned, the knight still helps defend the bishop because once the queen takes, then the knight's no longer pinned. So rather than being down a pawn, which I thought I was going to be after queen b2, I'm now up 2 pawns. So life is pretty good. A few moves come to mind here. I could castle, I could play c3. Rook b1 I don't want to play. There's no reason to defend b2 when queen takes b2 walks into rook b1. Be happy to open the file. So I'm considering queen h5. Queen h5 does run into bishop f7. So probably just castling, get the king out of the center. Black is maybe likely to castle queenside. And there is this pin. The knight was pinned to the king, but now it's pinned to the queen. So let's move the queen. And everything's defended here. Knight's defended twice, bishop's defended. b7 isn't defended, but... or b2 is not defended, I should say. But it's a pawn I would be happy to lose. And it's actually a pawn that I'll try and provoke black to take. I'm going to play c3. Now, especially in a case with opposite side castling, it's so useful to try and get initiative or get an attack on the side where the opponent's king is. My opponent's trying to pawn swarm maybe with h6 preparing g5. So I'd like to start generating threats. I mean, I could pawn swarm with b4, b5, or even a4, a5, a6 is an idea. Queen e3 comes to mind at a7. Can be met with king b8. Another move I kind of like is knight c4. Preparing knight d6. Let's go for this. And if bishop takes c4, then black's trading off one of the only developed pieces. The only developed minor piece. Black doesn't take the knight, so this gives me a chance to go in with check. Knight is very strong here, supported by the pawn. This is an outpost that's very deep in black's position. Now it's a question, should I keep my bishop supporting the pawn and also the knight, or do I move the bishop back, target a7? I'm going to move it back. I just like the image of the two bishops on the e-file. Like, they control so many squares, and especially the attacking potential now is very high. Black sacks exchange, which is probably a good practical option. The knight was very, very strong there. But of course, the downside for black is I'm up material, the d-file is opened, and I'm going to keep initiative. I have to move bishop to d4 here, which almost traps a rook. Yeah, maybe black didn't realize I was covering h7. If we just go back, bishop g7 was possible. Okay, opponent resigns. So kind of a abrupt finish there. I'll just show that bishop g7 would have perhaps been a better try because it's supported by the queen. But then I can take and then check, and life is very good. King c7, maybe queen d2 or rook a8. And white has the material advantage and the initiative as well. So yeah, going back in this game, I mean, I don't think I did anything so special. I think I did know how to respond to this opening, like this move d4. I didn't really know any theory beyond this position. And the resulting position, yeah, black was, I guess, a little bit slow to develop. Like, I managed to develop 3 minor pieces before black had any of these guys developed. And then d4, or d5, and then allowing me to capture 2 free pawns. Some nice Christmas presents. I'm still recording this on December 25th.